कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative. Yeah, back home, and I must say this is a tribute to the man they call Cyrus Brocha. This is my Arnab Goswami moment when we talk about ourselves in seventh person. Tribute to myself, not slept 38 hours, caught a plane which went very far and all over the place. And then Etihad, and you have some answers to give me at Etihad because I fought for you. I told my family, you're the best airline in the world. We must go Etihad. And it was all good. 3 legs were great. The 4th leg, and this is why human beings shouldn't have 4 legs. The 4th leg was horrible. It was really bad. From Abu Dhabi, we were supposed to leave at 10:05 p.m. By 9:55, everyone had boarded. They even announced everyone is boarded. And then it happened, the tragedy. Nobody would tell us exactly what went wrong. And this is why I say don't attack poor Air India, because everybody's in Air India at some point in their life. Etihad's captain with a strange, I don't want to say Ukrainian, but East European accent, kept mentioning strange things like Mumbai airport may be closed, so we have to wait a while, which I thought was fishy. Why did he suddenly discover Mumbai airport has some closing hours? Then it turns out that they may have some engineering issue. All these things which are not specific, so you have to put your hands up and say, what can we do? And everybody says, what can we do? And then I found out, because I met somebody who spoke to me and was a colleague of the airline, or he worked in the airline, employee of the airline, and he was very sweet and off the record, I can't take his name because his name is similar to Aneesh, who's our guest. And he said, guys, the problem is that they had lots of incoming aircraft, the connecting flights were late, and they were waiting for the passengers. Now, my point is, this is not right. I understand late is late, but figure out some other route for all these people. Why should everybody suffer for the cause of, say, 2 people coming in from, let's say, Germany? So here's the problem. We landed up, instead of landing at about 2:30 in the morning, I landed at 5 o'clock in the morning, Mumbai time. I had more pain after that. I don't want to use this whole show to just talk about myself, but I want to give myself 40 minutes today at least, because many things happened. After that, we got the world's slowest, what's it called? The baggage clearance guy. The world's slowest guy. I think he's been chosen just to irritate and upset passengers who are already irritated and upset. They wrote clearly on top that only handbag to be screened and bags marked with the X. Like in Nazi Germany, they mark certain bags with X, like a mark, and you put those big bags on, otherwise you don't. I follow the law. I only put my little handbag in. And the guy says, "Kahan se aa gaya?" I said, Spain se via Abu Dhabi. So he said, "Nahi, Abu Dhabi ka flight hai, so you have to put all the bags in." I said, "Likha nahi." Then I explained to him the pointlessness of his stupidity, which is that if you come from Abu Dhabi, having boarded from Abu Dhabi, yes, it makes sense. But if your plane is from some other point and it just goes via Abu Dhabi, you don't touch your big bag. So what can come into the big bag? The big bag goes directly from one plane to another plane. I explained to him. I was crying. And finally, the slightly more English-speaking guy, who was his officer class guy, and I don't want to get into class consciousness here, but once again, sometimes you wonder why uneducated people aren't thrown out of the country. He came and explained to him that I was correct in saying that although we had come via Abu Dhabi, we had nothing to do with Abu Dhabi except catch the plane. So his whole point of looking at the big bag, it was a waste of time. So a lot of pain, a lot of pressure. And all this, I didn't go to the toilet for 36 hours. I peed a lot, including in my pants with the other thing, which I won't discuss because that's what the show is all about anyway. Won't waste the time of the other panelists who are somewhat on time today. We've got lots of startling news, in-house news. One of our treasures, I would say a national treasure perhaps. The government looks up to him. Mr. Shinde took his name in the swearing in the other day, which was in the morning actually. I just want to say, Silvery, the greatest Indian that I have met in my life, has finally succumbed to COVID. Now, when I say succumbed, he's alive, but in the sense that he's got it. He's got it. He's actually got it. Yeah, he got it. And he's really happy because he's been lying about his health, and now finally something bad has happened. And so he's so happy that, what he's hoped for finally translates into the truth. And so congratulations, Silvery, wherever you are. Abbas and I have been laughing our bums off, just thinking about how you dodged many bullets with your heart issue and lung issue, but in the end of the day, COVID struck. So Amit, expect him to not be there July, August. This is what I personally do. It's going to take some time for this young man to put his life together. Yeah. In the meantime, let's welcome Aneesh. Thanks for coming here. Bored out of his mind, he's playing with his phone, which is what all panelists do on our show. He's already texting someone else, "Main kya karta hai yahan pe bank-chod log hain." And I want to talk about airlines. Guys, Etihad is the world number 2 airline. World number 2. Sorry, Aneesh, please talk. Otherwise, I'll just go on ranting about my problems.
I was looking at the topic list. I wasn't messaging anyone.
Nobody, not even the listeners. care about the topic list. Even Amit has given up. Abbas has lost interest. Don't worry. We'll come to that.
No.
Because I've got geographical issues with Mr. Shinde, who, by the way, Amit Doshi, can my luck get better? He's in my lane. As you turn to enter WIA, that's him. Sorry, Eknath Shinde, that's him.
Yeah,
that's
but
his place. And now there are plastic chairs outside the bungalow on the main road in the lane that we traverse with our cars.
He's not on Varsha. He should live in Varsha, no?
He's gone to take the swearing in at Varsha, but now this new thing is whoever becomes CM in Maharashtra, you must have 2 homes. Right? So he's keeping his already given Mantri bungalow, which is closer to my house, and he'll also go to Varsha. So he'll destroy the area completely. I'm now crying.
Think how close to power you are.
No, this is what I was saying about Modi vis-a-vis Yogi. If Yogi comes to power, we'll be saying, Narendra bhai, please come back. It's just, I'm begging for Uddhav to return. I'm okay with Uddhav. The VIP movement wasn't as bad as I thought, because now I'm screwed. And they barricaded up the WIA entrance into the long lane. They've barricaded that.
Oh, so really?
You literally have to go 1 car at a time. It's like a nakabandi for life now. They put there.
I'm sure all of us felt this yesterday, right? The rain was insane.
Yeah.
And so the traffic was insane. And I'm just like looking at these permanent nakabandis on my way home. I'm just like, what is a permanent nakabandi, right? Well, how is a permanent nakabandi a thing? There is one at Nepensi Road. There is one at Hirapanna. Just how is there a permanent nakabandi?
When the cop goes to sleep, he wants to feel that he's harassed you even in his sleep. He wants to know that the long arm of the law is tickling your balls from far away and you can't do anything about it. I think that's all there is to it. It's just fun. It's like bakra for them. Hey, abhi kya karega? Bakra banayega sabko. And they plan it, and that's how they do it. And we suffer. What can I tell you? I've been saying, ask the British to come back for 2 years. Let's see what colonial rule is like again, and then we'll go back to democracy. Let's give it a shot. But Aneesh was trying to talk, and you guys keep interrupting him. Please, Abbas.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm not saying anything more.
Aneesh is the most talkative person in the world, the most talkative podcast host I have ever met in my life.
So Aneesh is here because he has a new show called one of my personally favorite names of a podcast. It's called Aneesh Thing. Get it, Cyrus? Aneesh Thing. N-I-C-H-E.
This is your Kunal Vijayakar moment where you explain the joke, you stress it 3 times, you go up and down 4 times. It's like a lecture for 45 minutes for one joke. So that everybody's on the same page. Don't live with that guy, for God's sake.
Should we apply a laugh track here?
Yeah, we apply a laugh track, a clap track, somebody lead the laugh track. He's happy with plants. Amit, he's happy with plants in the audience when you do a live show. Why can't we have someone who starts the laugh? Amit, no, nobody does that. Even in the old days, nobody does that. It's just wrong.
Lots of people do that, dude.
No, man, not anymore.
Do you think 5 people? Do you think 5 people actually go? Do you think 5 people actually go to see stand-up shows?
I agree with that. That's very accurate.
Have you used a guy, a pal of yours, or when you guys are together and doing like 4 or 5 guys one after another, did you go and sort of start a cheer just to push the crowd?
No. So if there are other comics in the crowd, they only laugh at the jokes that don't work because that's their comeuppance.
But that's real comedy. I totally get that. That's the inner thing, the inner culture thingy, which is beautiful. And when you're dying, you think of that. But I'm saying, when you start with a group, do you sort of support each other like team players and say, what the hell, we'll go in the audience and we'll push the crowd?
That happens, yes. And also, more often than not, there is at least one loud laugh person.
No, I'm not talking about when your name is announced and all the guys scream for you. That's fair enough. Okay, why not? But I'm saying, post that, as you go into your routine, 7th or 8th minute into the routine, are they rooting for you and just pretending to laugh?
Not by the 7th minute. First, 2nd minute, maybe. By the 7th minute, you're on your own.
Stand-up comedy.
I don't think there's any rooting, right? I think it's pretty cutthroat in that sense. I don't think there's any rooting for it, but at the same time, it's also like, hey, I'll laugh for you, you laugh for me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's some.
I mean, if you're a comic,
if it's a big event for a comedian, like let's say they're taping their Amazon special, then little bit of
of course.
Hey, so that's the same thing then. Yeah, come on, because that stays for posterity in a sense. Then Kunal is not wrong.
Kind of, yeah.
But I know what you're saying. We enjoy the failure more. So then the failure happens, we all look at each other. No? Like, that's a beautiful moment for comics. And these are the close friends, the close circle, the guys you hang out with, eat dinner with, etc.
But let's get back to Anish's show. Anish, tell us about your show.
Well, firstly, the first episode went live on Tuesday on 28th, and just half an hour back, my sister messaged me and said, "Oh, I finally understood what the name of the podcast meant." So that's fine. That happens. So the show is, like we said, it's called Aneesh Thing. It's all about niche things. It's all about subcultures that I'm fascinated with, ranging from coffee to hi-fi to cigars to shoes to streetwear to pretty much everything
God, you
like
can't put me on this show. I can contribute except too expensive. Not worth it. Get something cheaper. My return will be terrible. This guy's too hep for me.
Having said that, one of the episodes is going to be about watches. Like watches will be a recurring topic, and I think the first episode on watches is going to be starting a watch collection under 20,000 rupees, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the show.
Using numbers. You don't have 20,000, neither listener, no money. Stop it. Oh, God. That's a lot.
No, it's a really fun show. I mean, like, I think great conversations are happening over there. So, I mean, like, I think it'll be, you know,
Hey, Aneesh,
it's different.
Can I ask him a question? So, because my mind is always thinking about the investment or the ROI, RTI, or whatever you want to call it, return of interest on investment, which is, so do the watches still have, like in my dad's time, you know, you had these things which you'd keep basically because they sort of went up in rate or went up in value.
Oh, yeah.
So is that still happening, or is it just a hep quotient thingy?
It does. It happens at all sorts of price levels. So if you get a very high-end watch like AP or something, that'll definitely go up in value. But in the last few months, Swatch and Omega released a collaboration called the Moon Swatch, which was Swatch's take on the Omega Moon watch that retails for $200 or $300. It's selling for 10 times the price in the resale market already.
But even I think, like, you remember those Casio watches which you used to have? Some of them have really held value and kind of grown.
Those
in
old
value.
ones in the 80s. You're talking about.
Yeah.
Do you have any hanging around?
If you have,
I got to check because these were the gifts that came our way, and I never wore watches, but the mom would keep it in the cupboard. Check, I'm sure it's there somewhere.
Again, it's not like it's going to be crazy value or anything because they were mass value watches. But I mean, like, you know, you probably bought them at that time for like $500, $800, $900. You get like $3,000-4,000 for it now.
Bro, you're looking at equity scripts right now. You're looking at things when the market is down. It's all notional anyway. This will cheer you up. If he's telling me I got 10 watches whose value, forget what the value is. I know what you're saying. But if it's gone up 10x, whatever the value is, you just feel good. You just feel a little better.
No, a 20 grand Moon Swatch selling for $1 lakh or $1.5 lakh, that's a pretty decent jump.
So I had one thing which I found out. I don't have it anymore, but when I was a kid, I had a Casio Transformers, JV watch that they had made together. It was a calculator watch which turned into a robot.
Yeah.
And apparently that has
cool.
become, that apparently is now worth quite a bit of cash.
Yeah. Where is it?
It broke. I got it in the 5th standard. It broke in the 6th standard. I mean, like, there's no expectation of that kind of thing.
Anish, you can't predict this, right? I mean, he's talking 3 decades, so you can't predict this.
Correct. You cannot predict this. Yeah, you cannot.
But if you invest in 10 watches from one generation or whatever, you're looking at maybe 2 or 3 winners?
It depends. Now, if you buy a brand like, let's say, Hublot, that's just a crap watch. That's never going to grow in value ever in life. So also it depends on the kind of brands you're buying.
Hublot is not an Indian brand, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
It would just take a Johnny Depp to wear Hublot to a trial or something like that in the pop culture. He hits it out of the park after
I
that.
just want to make sure that we're really not talking shit about brands that are potentially sponsors. That's my only interest here.
No, but we are politicians, right? We change our tune immediately. Remember the Indian politician, when the guy dies,
of course,
he was a great man. Immediately, that's the
Patanjali,
style.
the best.
Yeah, the best. But I don't have a problem with Patanjali. I just have a problem with his homosexual comments that he can cure it. Firstly, that whole take on that. But other than that, I like the guy. I think he's the brand. He's a great marketing example, is he not? Let's ask the marketing guru himself. I mean, he wears the brand on his sleeve in his langot.
This is exactly what Sid from Smarter from Sid also said when he was on our show. That he's a really good case study as to how to equate yourself with the brand and sell yourself as well as the brand.
You can't separate him, and he's superb. It's a bit like the early Vijay Mallya, I would say. You know, no, you're laughing, but he was that. If you went for his parties and you saw the airline and all, the flamboyance was also him. It was the real deal.
Yeah.
The fact that you don't pay and all is a side story at the end of the day, but the fact is he was flamboyant. He had all the hot chicks coming and the hip guys and the movers and shakers, blah, blah, blah. So I'm a Patanjali fan in that sense. I think he markets really well. Like I've told you guys before, I met this one guy on a flight who's Stanford educated, who's one of his CEO types. Yankee accent and like Amit, one of these, absolutely like Amit but better dressed. Yankee accent, spoke perfect English, spoke about algorithms and all kinds of things. And I was stunned. So this man knows what he's doing. He puts on this show. He probably speaks the Queen's English. We have no idea who he really is. But he puts on this show. He markets himself as this yogi, this Swami who's really flexible and doing this, that, and the other, and going back using the traditional science, blah blah blah. But I think it's just great piece of marketing. I salute him. Let's get him on the show.
Sure, we'll try.
Then we'll see who dresses less.
I'll give
Who
him a
dresses
call.
less contest.
But I have a question for Aneesh. Do digital watches at all go up in price as they get older?
Casuals work.
Very few. It'll be a very rare thing. Not really.
Are digital watches, as a watch collector, do you consider digital watches to be real watches?
Oh, 100%.
They do? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Breaking complexes
I
over the
have
digital space.
I was just
What a
thinking,
country.
I have the
Polarized
first
by
Apple.
this.
I have the first Apple Watch, which technically now should be a vintage
Correct,
digital
exactly.
watch
Okay.
with zero value though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They
Yes, I mean-
changed the script.
I
Right.
have some. In what sense?
Who changed the script?
In a sense, Apple, the whole idea is you can't go back to get better. Like
No,
what
but
it was
for
saying.
vintage
that way.
value.
But I think as a cultural phenomenon, the Apple Watch 1 will be cool to have maybe 10, 20 years
Right.
down the line in your collection.
Like they stopped making iPods now, so I'm sure
Yeah.
iPods will be much more precious now.
iPods, so
Anish, we are two Gujaratis on the show here, Amit and
so-
me. What is the ROI for the Apple Watch? Tell me honestly. I've got
I
a
don't think-
because my-
I don't think it's really.
I don't think there'll be ROI. It'll be a cool.
Yeah.
Collector's item.
It'll be a flex to have maybe
Yeah.
20 years down the line that I have
But
the app.
these
have
are
the Apple
things
Watch
which are
1.
made in like the tens of millions, right?
Correct.
So I mean, it's very unlikely that.
But
this
how does the
turns into
financial value
any kind
not
of-
go up and correlate with the value going up as a product which is
There
niche
needs to be a sense of scarcity, right? Like, so I'll give you an example. I've been talking to some people about NFTs and hence, the sports cards that you have in the US, right? The trading cards for different sports and stuff like that. Between the from basically from 1990 to 2007. Right, about this 17-18 period, no cards have held value at all because there was such an overabundance of supply in that particular space that there is basically you can find any of the greatest players, you can find their cards from that period. You go to stuff which is pre-1990 and there is value held. You go to stuff after 2007, there is value held. But for something to become collectibles, there needs to be some sort of scarcity in supply.
But could
Yeah,
that
but-
change 30 years down the line when there is a scarcity? We don't know.
Huh?
That
My
1990
idea-
period could be a scarcity by 2040 where people
No,
have
because
lost
they
their
made
cards.
they made tens of millions of these cards, right? They made so many of these cards that there's just no chance that, like, if you go really old, right? Like, there are only, I think, there are only like 4 mint condition Mickey Mantle cards or some shit like that, right? I mean, I could be wrong about these numbers, but there are so few of them available. Whereas all of these cards which were made in the 90s, they published tens of thousands of them, if not hundreds of thousands of them. Same thing
But
with
this-
the Apple Watch. I think same
So
thing
Apple
with
Watch will not go up in value, but to me, it's a cultural flex to have. Maybe 20 years down the line. Like same with the iPad 1. I have the first iPad, and that thing still works, and it's just fun to see how much the iPad has evolved since then. So yeah.
But
Basically,
what
I'm a
goes on-
hourder. I think that's what's coming out.
You know,
we are
there's
the
a
first.
story.
We are the first
some call
syllable
it
without
hoarder,
the-
some call it
the dirt.
collector.
But it doesn't work for the IPL. It works for baseball maybe, but the IPL doesn't work. They keep adding more and more teams. The value is not going down. The values are ridiculous, especially the
they
values
don't-
of these new teams that they've put out there on paper.
They're not
So-
at all. Do you know the new NBA 2 franchises? What they're saying they're going to cost each? Each
How
one's
much?
going to be like $4 or $5 billion each.
Damn.
One in Las Vegas, one in Seattle. That's the likely this. But
And the bidding will be high, as in lots
yeah,
of people.
because Seattle, you have Jeff Bezos, you have Howard Schultz, you have Bill Gates, you have all these people. Las Vegas is
Gautam
Las
Adani.
Vegas.
Oh, no. He's here.
Well, it could be him too.
Sometimes, yeah.
Could be him
Yeah,
too.
could be him. We don't know anymore. Yeah. What about Mr. Shinde? How much has he made on staying with the BJP? Purely speculation, of course. There's no
Of
way we're
course.
going to know.
But Cyrus, isn't it fascinating that in this whole week that you were away, when you left, we had a different
2
chief
weeks
minister,
almost.
the deflection, the resignation,
But look
the
at our
change of
luck.
CM,
The
everything. happened.
one week we don't run our so-called political shows when all this shit happens.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
exactly.
we're waiting for stories, and then Mohit is calling up and saying, "What do we do? What can we do now? We're stuck in the middle of nowhere." I mean, tell the Maharashtra government to get there.
But
And it's so funny from a comedy point of view, Amit. It's beautiful. You can just sit and write joke after joke. That whole Eagleton Resort thing, which only India's taken it to another level. Who pays for these guys? Okay, why did they go to Assam? Why? Because they didn't pay the bills in Surat apparently before that, etc. I just already brought it up the other day. I mean, I just want this question answered. Who is paying the bill for members of parliament or MLAs to be looked after in a resort far, far away from their home state? Okay,
Yeah.
whether it's Bangalore, whether it's Mumbai, we're talking about whoever. There's no answer to that. I mean, we know what the answer is, but
We
I
know
want
what
to
the
see the
answer
slips.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
We all know the answer.
Imagine a
is,
production guy from the BJP going, hey, kitna kaya? Lobster bhi kaya, bencho? In MTV, they used to do that, to embarrass us. Or the appraisal, they would take out the food bills, Chinappa, what is this? Cyrus Sarkar always had like 8 cooks in one room, because he would call all his friends and, have a little party and at the expense of the company. But they'd expose you in front of everyone. It's terrible.
I mean, like, the company shouldn't complain about like cokes, man. I mean, that's a bit much. Lobster,
The production guys was getting flack. What happened is he was getting a lot of flack about the accounts not tallying and all that. So then he started arguing. So then they said, okay, then show us what the bills are like. So then he started pointing them out. The only one VJ didn't cost them money. Only one. Same. It was tandoori chicken or butter chicken. Tandoori chicken or butter chicken. That's all the bills were. Nothing else. Yeah.
Which is a great segue, Cyrus, to our first topic. Sahukar ordering cokes. Is Airbnb has announced that they're putting a permanent ban on parties in their properties.
Where?
In all their properties at Airbnb.
Everywhere?
Yes.
That seems weird.
How do you control that?
The company temporarily restricted large gatherings at its properties in 2020. Now it says it is permanently prohibiting, quote, disruptive parties and events, unquote, including those promoted on social media.
Okay, so you're talking about really big parties because otherwise 8 people party in a small flat, it's not going to, how are you going to know, really?
No, and I mean, like, a lot of Airbnbs are for, like, deliberately set up for, like, corporate events and shit like that. So how are you supposed to stop that? I know, like, who goes and stays at, like, a 32 seat... No, they have 32 bedroom bed bungalows, right?
There you go.
Who goes for that? I mean, like, that's not a thing other than like you do it for like some kind of hey, let's get all our corporate.
So it says it's prohibiting open invite gatherings.
Oh, that makes sense.
Advertise on social media.
That makes sense.
As well as chronic party houses.
Okay, they sublet it sort of.
Yeah.
They can sublet on that, right? So you can make money. You can knock off your investment into the whole space in the first place by charging tickets.
It's a business, right? I mean, like, the idea of party promoter is a thing. There are people like this who exist in the world.
But I think we should move it to the niche show because it's for the slightly, sophisticated. Yeah,
it's what, Cyrus? We lost you for a second.
Sophisticated, you said.
I'm just not worth repeating anything. Keep thinking. Don't mistake me for Premchand. It's not important.
Did you use Airbnb at all when you were in Spain?
So the wife was trying to do all that, but at the end of the day, I'm with the great Vijaykar, who thinks whether he has money or not, thinks he's Nana Fadnavis' direct descendant. So we were never going to live in a miserly fashion. And we've got 2 kids and we need space. Abbas, we know how much trouble we have.
There are really fancy Airbnb rooms also.
But the pricing then comes almost to the same thing, then it's not worth it. So whatever. But the good thing is, so they have this whole system without any human contact, which is great, right?
Yeah.
So they'll send you the whole list and all, which is a new world for me. It's like, I want my key, but whatever. So it's 5200, I can say the number now, was a number to open the main door and hashtag, that's it, right? And of course, Vijaykar has got a number issue, right? So 5200 becomes 5800, 560, then you're texting what is the number, and it goes 3 times and suddenly there's some red light flashing like you're a criminal trying to enter, etc. So it was great. Yeah. I don't know why we segued there, but sorry, the thing is that in Spain, wherever we went, we got balconies to look out of.
Yeah.
So, being a Mumbai, let's face it, it's a cardboard box. Unless you're really rich, who can look out of anything? So the wife was very, you know how my wife is. She's artistic and aesthetic inclined and all that. So it's gonna. So they look out, look at the church, steeples. It's beautiful. And then people walking, and people are slightly more dignified. I don't want to be racist than they are here. So when they walk, you can look at them without gawking, and it's pleasant. It's just like a pleasant experience. It's not like here the majburi of the guy trying to catch the bus or something. It's a totally different story. It's a huge difference, actually. Yeah.
Did you hear the story? I don't remember if you were on that episode where Silvery got his someone stole his wallet while he was trying to catch a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is all this happening to this young man?
I don't know.
Firstly, why would he be catching a bus? I couldn't understand with his 7 cars and the fact that he never comes to work. What bus?
I guess it was the pre-car era when he wasn't given free reign of the cars.
Or he did it once and got COVID. He'll never do it again.
Okay, we have another luxury-related topic.
Sorry,
no,
I just openly come-
Silvery is resting right now. We'll catch up with him
He's
soon.
not
Does
on
he have
the
a
show.
fever,
There's
Abbas?
no way
Before we
he's
make too
wake up.
much fun,
No, he
I'm
did
very
have
worried. But
fever,
you know
yeah.
what? You know my Devanand story, and God, please forgive me for this. So I was doing some work with Radio Mirchi, and we used to do these bad vignettes and all that. So I don't know, we did some 5-6 on Devanand for whatever reason that particular day. And then they released them, through the week, and he passed away in the night.
Oh,
So we're playing, and they were really like not. If he died, they were not in good taste. But, oh man, I just don't come back for that. Not that Silvery is in that bad shape, guys. Listening, Silvery is fine. He's a young
Yeah, he's
man with a
fine.
big beard. He'll be good. He'll be back in 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
The luxury related story we have is Air New Zealand is going to introduce bed like pods in their economy class section. What the pods will be is basically like very fancy bunk beds, but the ticket price for the seat will not include the bunk beds. You'll have to buy them separately in 4-hour
It'll be less than
installments.
business.
It'll
So
be
they're
less
creating
than
a third
business.
class.
Within the economy class.
The semi, what was it? Semi prime or something. We had a name for it on Jet. They had this. So you
No,
had
but
economy.
they are
then you had-
including this in their economy class only, where they'll give you fancy bunk beds. Yeah.
But it becomes a subclass of the class, right?
But
so it's
4 hour,
between
you have
business-
to buy, like you can only sleep there for 4 hours, and then the next guy will come and take it up. Yeah. Because I don't know what the calculation was.
Is there a
but
Mumbai
like
running
4
this
hours is
concept?
enough for relaxation
It's
and
not
business
resting
like
your
India.
mind.
It's not business class. You're just buying an extra. You're getting a little bit of space for a little bit of time. It's nice and all that, but whatever, dude.
What if you
But you
don't
can't
get
do-
up after 4 hours?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I guess the
there'll be-
authorities
if the
throw you
person
out
who
of
has
the plane.
paid for the next 4 hours is going to
He'll
wake your
wake
ass
you
up, right? He's not going
One
to
of
let you
those-
just take his
One
time.
of those Rishi will show us. One of those bells will go off. One of those alarms, which means your time is up. Right? Someone should put their Mr. Shinde's house. I think his time is up on this house. Go straight to Varsha now. I don't know why he has 2 houses. Somebody talk to him. Amit, please, can you get on a conference call
I will let
with
him
the
know.
Chief Minister ASAP?
I will let him know that Cyrus is unhappy.
I'm unhappy. I would pay good money if I had. I would give all my money if I could send them all to Navi Mumbai. And say, now you start there.
I wouldn't
I
give
feel they need to
all
be
of my money, but I'd give a lot of it.
No, I'm just saying, you got to see the rest of Mumbai. You can't live in Walkeshwar, Malabar Hill and think, okay, this is my life for the rest of your life. This is our life.
Yours, not mine.
Not theirs. You moved to Bandra. You're a hardworking guy.
Not yet.
Let's get back to Aneesh's a more interesting podcast, which at least deals with all kinds of interesting and dazzling stuff. We talked about watches. What else is there?
The first episode, which is live, is on coffee. And that's been at least well received so far. And I think a lot of the comments were... So we really trashed French press and home espresso and espresso pods and stuff on the podcast.
Espresso pods suck, but what's wrong with French press? Man?
French press is the worst coffee, man. Why would you drink that?
From a taste point of view.
Okay.
From a taste point of view, it's gritty, it's got
Can't argue with
particles
that.
in it.
You don't,
But
Yeah.
okay, all right. But I mean, like you run it through a filter still, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
but that
wouldn't you-
filter is like it's like a chutney, right?
Okay.
It's really not a very fine filter. If you want to have good coffee at home, you need to do a pour over or a cold brew or something like that.
What about your electric percolator? Like, the standard coffee machine.
Burnt coffee, burnt diner, American
that
diner
burnt
coffee.
coffee,
Of
man?
course it is. Yeah, it is.
It's boiled. It's hot water going through coffee.
We will do a coffee session after this, and I will brew some black coffee for you.
The whole procedure, I'm just not clear. See, so are we looking at data where you look at the sample study or you look at data of a lot of people who say, look, I don't like French press as a concept, whatever. And then you have 75% responders saying this out of
it's a
total
niche
900 people.
no.
thing.
Oh, this is
It's a
this-
niche
I understand that.
thing.
So this is your personal then?
This is my
like you look
personal
at a
view.
song and you critique it?
Oh, 100%, 100%. So my guest on the show is Rahul from Subco Coffee, and he had the same view. So I was like, okay, at least one person is agreeing. But then I got so many messages on Instagram saying, thank you for trashing French press. I was like, okay, cool. There are more people.
That's
out
interesting.
there.
Yeah.
They're worse than the
I
stand-up
know-
comedians.
So I know.
The coffee guys fighting each other for no reason. Yeah.
No, I know. Pour over is considered to be the absolute best, right? In terms of how you can make a coffee. That's the coffee snob says, right?
So best would be again very subjective, but to do a long black cup
Well, while
of
they were
coffee,
with us, I would say Slay was the best.
Slay was amazing.
And still
They were
around.
amazing. Come back,
Yeah,
Slay.
yeah.
They're the best.
Elevate you to number one.
where did Slay go?
They were sponsors for a bit, and now they are not sponsors
okay.
for
Oh,
a bit.
that way.
And they will be sponsors
Yeah, even
again.
I was
for a
wondering.
bit.
Cool. I did
Our
not.
sponsors are like how you go around in primary school,
Yeah.
So you say, hi, Jyotika, we are girlfriend, boyfriend. Okay, theek hai. And 3 days later, you never speak again. It's like that is the relationships. But they were good. They were good while they lasted.
They were amazing.
Coming back to the whole coffee experience, it's one of those subjects where everybody has that do paisa.
100%. Yeah.
You can start talking about coffee and you can't really point fingers and say who the hell are you to say anything, because it's taste and it's subjective, and rich or poor or whatever you're inclined to or not inclined to is basically your thing. But it opens up like a Pandora's box of opinion. I must say.
The fascinating part is that India is perhaps one of the only countries which is a producing nation. Like, we produce coffee beans and we also consume a lot of coffee. That usually never happens. Most of the coffee producing countries are not very big coffee consuming countries.
But it's still a bigger tea country than coffee country.
Correct.
Right?
But coffee is really
I
grown,
think it's an urban.
Not
it's
even
an
like
urban
Colombia
phenomenon.
and all these.
No,
It was an urban phenomenon.
domestic.
But down south, and there are places where coffee is king anyway,
Yeah,
rural or urban, right?
Yeah.
And then otherwise, for us guys, it's more like an urban thing where I don't know, the modern Indian is more coffee.
But today there are so many roasters opening up everywhere. In smaller cities, forget the metros, right? You have, I think, the best cup of a coffee in a cafe that I've ever had in India is in Jaipur at this place called Half Light Roasters. Nagpur has some really, really good coffee roasters. So this movement is actually happening in a lot of smaller cities as well.
And these are one-off cafes. One-off cafes which are giving you their one-off coffee. This is not a brand.
Not a chain.
Not a chain. Independent roasters, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's quit the podcast business and start a coffee business. Get the
Please do
guys.
not do that.
Or combine both like Jerry Seinfeld did.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a place. I've got a location. It's Eknath Shinde's house next to my house. Yeah. We make that into a coffee bar.
Dude, Marabar Hill, top of the hill. I'm sure that's going to be quite a valuable place to.
And these mantris have the money for coffee. Kai bhaije, coffee bhaije. And that's it. That's the conversation.
I've had coffee at Mantralaya. It's not good.
Why? Niche will change everything.
Wait.
They give you the Nescafe, man. They give you like the machine Nescafe, which is basically.
It's not that. It's how much milk and water they put in, brother.
Right now.
No, they put water in. They always put water in to elongate the coffee, bro, and this just kills it. Yeah.
Right now, I can't trust Amit's taste in coffee. So that Mantralaya coffee might have just been good. We don't know yet. But we'll.
Okay.
I just say, in Amit's defense, when you have so much caffeine in your body because of Diet Coke, and I'm telling you, 32 cans a day over 40 years is a lot. The caffeine is blinding. It's pouring out of every ore.
Okay.
There's nothing you can do.
So I drink more coffee than I drink Diet Coke, but coffee has a lot more. Coffee has a lot more caffeine than Diet Coke does. Diet Coke has
that's true.
Like 5% of the caffeine that a cup of coffee has.
Let me explain numbers to you. When you drink 7-8 cans a day,
I don't drink 7-8 cans a day, dude.
We did that event. You drank 4.
When?
That was what I was with you for 3 hours. The event we did.
I couldn't get 4 Diet Cokes in that event. What are you talking about? We were at a freaking event. You think you can get 4 Diet Cokes? We got 1
and
each.
He asked for 4 times for the one he got.
We got them 1 each. We got 1 each, dude.
Let's go back to Aneesh.
Do we ever talk about I just saw the comments. Do we ever talk about the comments?
Yeah, we do. The producer will highlight them in the second half.
Wait.
So we ignore them?
A few people, like someone said, perhaps I'm making a French press wrong. So I would really suggest, please give the episode a listen and see my take on the French press there.
Absolutely.
And for the budding.
You're right. Well pitched.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anish and Abbas will tell you, as a budding bodybuilder, French press is also traditional tricep exercise, which is done by basically, it's also called the skull crusher.
How much do you French press, bro? How much?
I'm very strong. Today, without sleeping, I did 27.5 each side, 55. So like 135 pounds. Over the head for 2 reps.
I usually do a 50-gram French press.
No, this is French press. This movement. French press is close grip like this. Not 50 grams is a lot, bro. Especially for coffee. Be careful.
Let's go into a break, Cyrus.
Oh shit, 10:35. This guy talks a lot. Oh, he doesn't talk. Won't say a word. He's just gone on for 35 minutes. 10:35. Anish, slow down, brother. It's like a train getting derailed here. All right, we're off to a break. All of us, 2 minutes silence for Silvery. Let's hope he gets better and one day returns in the flesh to the studio. Which sure. I think I was present more than him while I was in friggin' Spain in 5 different parts of it. Yeah. All right, here's the break.
And we're back.
I just got to tell you this. It's so intrusive, the podcast, because wherever you go now, thanks to the pandemic, we realize we can go online, etc., etc. You can't really avoid it. I mean, you only avoid it if you're literally impossible to be on. The problem is if there are other people around, it's ridiculous. You know, I was just thinking the entire Spain experience, the way they abused me every morning. Because people are trying to sleep. Because the country is silent. No country is like ours. You know? if you talk, people on the road can hear you. It's just the way it is.
You chose with your own consent. We were ready. We made those green screen videos and everything.
I felt guilty because I'm doing nothing, you know. And I said in the morning I'll slip it in for half an hour, 40 minutes, 20 minutes. I thought 10 minutes first. You know, I just felt a little
Just
guilty.
admit it, Cyrus. We were your little
It's fun, dude. Listen, doing
time
this
away
fun.
from family.
Yeah, doing the podcast is fun. We try and make a
I
fun
know
show.
it was fun for me, no problem. Except I'm just saying it becomes so intrusive after some time. We have no idea.
It does.
So that's why you have to come to the podcast. Should be in the studio. And Silvery, you must respect that.
No, not right now. Right now,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
stay
get-
home.
Who's producing
Yeah.
the show for Aneesh? Who's the producer?
Who is Aneesh's producer? Who's producing for you?
It's
Saurabh.
Saurabh.
It's Saurabh, who you probably have not
If he
seen.
sees this episode and sees the three of you hesitating and thinking about the producer, what a lack of respect that is. You know, nobody remembers the producer. The captain gone. Oh God, that's fantastic.
No, so
Anish, don't smile. You're the
Until-
No,
worst.
I remember the name. I'm very
Aneesh knows Saurabh. I know Saurabh well, but I didn't know that Saurabh works on Aneesh's show. That's
the
not.
boss. No,
Yeah,
you're behaving like
Yeah,
the boss.
but
You have to know what's happening.
dude, we
When I-
flip these things around fairly often. Who's producing what? It's difficult
That's in
to
our
keep
case
track.
because I've got late Latif and Bimar Pada. These are the two.
I was wondering when you were talking about watches, you didn't make that quip that Abbas, you should take one of these fancy watches.
No, but Abbas, see, I know your
Have
problem.
you
I
been
just give you
late
the
a
evening
lot?
show.
I thought you were just
No, I
late
haven't.
once.
No. It's just that I've been given that image. Cyrus,
I
please
thought it
back
was
for
just
me.
once.
Abbas, don't lie.
It was.
Ah,
It's not
okay.
easy for you. We please put you on the,
The
evening
comment
show.
section will behave
Put you on the evening show.
radically
The problem
now.
is you can't put Silvery on any show because every 3 days he's got a heart problem. I mean, I don't know what's going on. He's the youngest guy in the group. In the entire IBM, he's the youngest to be the fittest guy. Oh, it's very sad, this story. Yeah.
He's not
So I
the
was sort
youngest.
of.
Vinay is younger than him, I
There
think.
are many.
He just turned 30.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
we have
Vinay
many,
has
many,
aged
many
4
in the
years
30s.
in 1 year.
That's true. Yeah.
He's lost all his hair and he's leaving. He prefers going to VT from Belapur every single day because that job will be less painful for him. So he thinks.
Aneesh, I should have done this right up top in the episode, but it's never too late. Tell us about what you do and a little intro about yourself.
Okay, great.
Now, we all know what he does.
We're only 40 minutes in, but let's do this. Of course, my name is Aneesh. I run a brand called Swami, hence the
It's like a
snapback.
job interview.
Yeah, what is this? I hate to be that guy, but what is Anish?
Nikhil Rabindra says, I hate to be that guy, but what is Aneesh? I would like
Yeah.
to know why he has a tonic water
Because
cap.
that is my company
But he-
that I
but he-
started. So
No, but
that's
he's
how
trying
it-
to be respectful. That's the irony. Sorry, go on.
Yeah,
So you
so
want the tonic cap.
yeah, I started Swami 4 years back, and before that, I used to be a photographer.
So you're a
and
multi-millionaire.
I really wish that was the case.
Sorry, he flipped the company and made lots of money
Soon
or
to
something.
be,
Is there a
soon to
story
be,
here?
soon to
Oh,
be.
bloody
This-
hell. Why he should be producing his own show and he should be sponsoring our show. What the hell are we doing here? Oh, so
Yeah.
unfair. Thank you, Mr. Rabindra, for pointing it out. He knew that there was something there that's not been revealed properly. Yeah. I can tell from the smile, you don't remember your producer's name because, you produced enough on your
I
own. now.
remember, just for the record, I'm the only one who remembers.
None of us did.
Saurav and Spurs will be standing alone and dancing flamingo or something outside the thing because nobody cares about them anymore. Spurs, we like you. We love you. I don't remember who you are.
Has he seen you in person? Oh, yeah, he has.
Spurs, he's been
Himashi,
around for
you've
2
got
weeks
good taste.
before I left.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if he took over while you were in Spain.
No, he plays guitar and all that. I found out everything
Yeah,
about
yeah,
him.
yeah, now I remember.
I care
Yes.
about my producers. Hamisha says I have a cabinet shelf with Swami. Oh, wow.
Yes.
You
Good
stolen
taste,
a
good
fan.
taste.
One fan is gone. One female fan. Ouch. Okay.
Okay,
He
we
doesn't
spoke
want to
about
answer the
coffee, but Cyrus, would you drink beer that was made from recycled toilet water? Because that's what's happening in Singapore. There's a new brand called New Brew, and it's made with recycled sewage. The alcoholic beverage is a collaboration between the country's national water agency, PUB, and local craft brewery, Brewkers.
Yeah.
First unveiled at a water conference in 2018, New Brew went on sale in supermarkets in April.
Well, when you presented that as like you really care and you know the subject in and out. But moving forward, for me, and I think all three of us may agree on this, the taste is not subject to how it's made really, unless there's some evility involved. So I'm saying that's never going to. I'm not squeamish. So if it tastes nice, you drink it. I would think that would be the number one reason for beer, coffee, the alcohol, spirits, those kind of things. I don't know. What do you say, guys?
I think basically I wouldn't market it as made from sewage water, but water is H2O. It's a chemical thing, right? So I wouldn't care that much, but at the same time, I wouldn't if something says it's made from sewage water, I would basically be like, I don't know if I want that.
But wouldn't that become its USP then? That we clean it up and make it so tasty?
No, because water is H2O.
Right.
Two molecules of hydrogen. Two atoms of hydrogen, one atom of oxygen. That's
what is the greatest? What is the greatest thing in our Sanskriti? What is? And that I'll answer that myself. It's not to be answered. It's a rhetoric question. That is politicians. And one of our finest, Morarji Desai, drank his own urine. So I'm saying, we set our own standards. There's no biggie about all these things. And apparently there's enough science and data to show that you drink your own urine, not somebody else's. Yeah. It's really good for you.
No, it's not. Who told you that, dude? That's been completely debunked. It's a fucking stupid ass kind of historical thing. It's not good for you. There's a reason why your body expels this shit, man.
Oh my god, what have we done? We've created a monster. Amit's going berserk. This is a standard.
I hate this.
No more drinking your own pee, India.
It's dumbassery, man. I mean, like this idea that drinking your own urine is good for you.
Maybe 10 people would have listened to us that drinking their own pee. Come on. I look forward to it. I'm going to Eknath Shinde sitting on my head here.
I would strongly suggest that they not drink their own pee. It is fucking ridiculous, man. Why would you do this?
It's like French press. Try it once and maybe you'll be hooked. You never know.
All right. Or you could distill it and then market it as Neo water or some shit.
I mean,
I've been told Foster's tastes like piss.
He's not getting involved. Not giving us his 2 pence.
I had a different view on this. So speaking of taste or smell or whatever, we also have an episode coming up on craft beers very soon that we've already recorded.
He knows how to promote, Cyrus. He knows how to promote.
But in that episode, we also talk about...
Amit, what else can I do? I just write down notes. Go on, sir.
In that episode, we also talk about Belgian beers, in particular lambics. And for a lot of us, when you smell a lambic, which are these spontaneously fermented Belgian beers...
Horrible.
How I would describe the nose, the smell of it would be sewage. Or, if you take off a Band-Aid and you have that little pus on it, that smell, right? But
that we're allowed to do, but I can't drink my urine. But I'm supposed to take off the Band-Aid and smell it. I mean, what's going on with that culture?
No, I am not. I'm not drinking that shit either, man. I'm sorry. But at least it's not
about it.
No, at least it's not, at least it's not bad for you. Urine is bad for you. Drinking urine is not good.
I mean, Bear Grylls is never coming on the show now.
Ayushi Amin is in the comments.
Ayushi, why is it 10:45 on a Friday morning? Why aren't you working? What's going on with that business there? She's on the show twice in a row. Now she's on the show today. I don't know. Something's up. Yeah.
We are the background noise for a lot of people while they are working, Cyrus. So, yeah. We should be thankful for the people who listen to us while working.
Intense work happening in India as we speak. Starting right here at the Chief Minister's Bangla.
But I was watching a documentary that Stephen Fry did while he was traveling in America, and he went to this, I don't remember the state, but there was a farmer's house where they did pretty much the same thing. They took the toilet wastewater and they somehow recycled it, and then they could later on, like, it was purified enough for them to drink it. For consumption, yes.
Water is H2O.
Right.
A chemical. It doesn't matter where it's sourced from, right? You can get it by any process which involves liquid that's distillation is done on will produce pure H2O for you.
I think Amit has invested in some recycle water company.
No,
called H2O.
All Swami with a double E. Be careful.
They do that on the space station, right? And there are documentaries on that. So it's fine.
Again, treat it. I mean, I'm not saying that you should. It's basically
treat it as in treat it to people.
Treat it as in distill it. Make it drinkable, right?
Aneesh has made a joke. You can't just walk away in the conversation. Abbas and I, as comedians, pick it up. We play the room for a minute here. He's made his joke. He has a delivery style of his own. It was very laid back. Fair enough. But I think we should give him a moment. Yeah.
Thank you. I shall retire now.
And now back to the French press.
Okay, so the next topic is slightly serious. Amazon has restricted LGBTQ searches and products in the UAE. They restricted search results and inventory related to LGBTQ topics in the UAE after being pressured to do so by the government, reports the New York Times. Same-sex relationships and sex acts are illegal in the UAE and are punishable by fines and imprisonment. So it's not just India where this is happening, where the government is asking Amazon to control, but also in India, Amazon Prime has been kind of censoring episodes of this show called The Boys, which include scenes of graphic violence and nudity. Not specifically same sex, but like
that girl is a lesbo or lesbian, whatever the name is. So
well,
it's there. They have everything.
Yeah. Especially given that last year was Pride Month, and on one hand, Amazon.
This month, June. Okay, July now.
We're in July now.
So in Spain it was all over, so that's why I was Naveen. I couldn't take it.
So on one hand, you claim to be an ally, but then in countries where it's prohibited, you're towing the line.
No. I'm a complete ally. I have no time for these morons across the world who sit and make big. I mean, really? LGBTQ, I mean, somebody's sexual preference and things like what? Why is it even a conversation? Why is it important in the?
That's what I'm saying. So do you think Amazon should fight that fight? Is it their fight to fight?
No, they are thinking from a business point of view because the businesses are run by the Maliks who own that particular place. It's not a democratic institution. We pretend to be democratic, but they're not. They're clearly not. So, so they're worried that they have to, shake hands and do business in a certain way. So I'm from a purely Machiavellian point of view of how do we do business? We have to, figure this out. So they wind their way through it. Maybe okay. But, I'm just sick of listening to these stories and all about people who are living 300 years behind the rest of the world. I mean, come on, really. We don't have real issues to deal with. I mean, you're always going to go back and say, hey, he's a man humping another man. I can't bear it. Okay, fuck off. It's over now. Just get on with it. Enough is enough. Yeah. Sorry, Aneesh. I know your feelings are different. You can't sell the watch.
So I think your question comes down to, or basically this subject comes down to this, right? Local laws vary. And should companies that are international companies, should they follow local laws or should they follow laws of the countries that they originate in? This is fundamentally what the tension is over here, right? And I don't think that there's an easy answer here, right? Like, so for example...
There's no easy answer, but you can wear the cap of business first.
No,
if I'm wearing the cap of business first, it's an easy answer.
No, but so Google's not in China, right? Google is not in China. Now, is that a net good or a net bad? Right, because Chinese people don't have access to Google.
They tried to negotiate. It didn't happen overnight. They were dealing with such a fascist reality after some time that they couldn't take it. Okay, but they tried. So, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. If you're a businessman, you're trying to do business. It's always that. You're not trying to get into the whole change the world thing. That's secondary, sort of.
No, but this is the question, right, Cyrus? That I mean, like, you have a set of values. I share that set of values. I think all of us share that set of values, more or less. But these values are clearly not universal, right? I mean, like, we can see that in our own country, forget other countries.
Yeah.
So if they're not universal values, if you're a business, what are your, like, some things are beyond the pale and you'll be just like, no, I'm not going that far and fuck it, we're not doing it. But some things you'll also be like, no, you know what? I mean, like, it makes more sense for us to be available than not. So is the answer that should Amazon exit the UAE? Somebody just said that, exit the UAE. Should Amazon exit? I mean, it's a worthwhile question to ask. I don't know the answer.
To some extent is democratizing itself at a seriously decent pace also. So I would hang in there because you're talking about certain people with certain ideals and whatever, which sooner or later will get, I have full confidence that all these ideas will be overturned at some point. Because people across the world after some time will say, this can't be the thing we talk about all the time and just stop the press because some guys want to have this kind of relationship or whatever. So I'm just thinking that in the fullness of time, they'll come around.
I mean, like, what is the fullness of time? In the long run, everybody's dead, right? So what does the fullness of time mean?
You're asking me to play God. I love to know. But I've always thought God is a female. So I think I'm miscast to begin with. Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, the fullness of time, is it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 50 years?
What is it? How can we answer that question?
No, so, but then should that not have an impact on your decision to do business in a country?
I am very cynical in these regards. I think we are going backward. I mean, when I say we, I think majority of the world. Because, if you take the Roe v. Wade decision, right?
Not bound by all these things.
When Obama became the president, I thought, okay, America's done with this shit. The black president, check. Then they legalize same-sex marriage. I'm like, check. Now the next logical thing, of course, will be they'll elect a female president. That did not happen, and since then everything has been going backward. And I mean, I don't want to say anything about our country because, but in many ways, as a comedian, I also feel like I had way more freedom to say things 8-10 years ago than I have now. So this whole idea that you have that
I don't think that's
ultimately
fully true, Abbas.
in the long
there
run,
are some holy
there are
cows you have to watch out for. But there's
Right.
plenty more grist for the mill in a sense for you. There's many things you can look at. You can find ways to twist you just have to be a little more innovative. I think we sometimes overreact to everything. Definitely
there is a line between innovation and being clever, and then being scared about what to say because it will have repercussions.
Don't worry.
That's clearly the
The
case
internet will
right
allow
now.
you to change your name and face, and you can still say what you want to. So don't worry, we'll figure it out.
No, but that's
Abbas.
clearly, it's clearly the case right now in India. It's clearly the case in the US. It's clearly the case in many parts of the world, right? I don't know if I would go as far as Abbas in saying that things are going backward, because I think that you're seeing a lot more resistance to it. And I think what's actually happening is the last gasp of reaction to things which are making certain types of people uncomfortable.
But I still think the people on the other hand have more power than the ones who are protesting.
I don't
Yeah,
think
most
can I say
cases.
something? Which
Yeah.
I think you'll attack me for. I'm more worried about the far left going berserk with the woke culture than the far right. I think the far right has not changed in 100 years. Or rather the right, let's just call it right, not far right. The left and the farish left, the ones that go into this whole woke thing. Rowan Atkinson just released, somebody asked him a question and he said, I don't understand. Comedy is based on victimization. In comedy, you do have a victim. A joke is about someone being a victim. That's the essence of comedy. Very often
Right.
that is.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say about it, that is. You're trying to bring down an institution or a person or a personality or a breed or a tribe or whatever. So I mean, you can't. So the left scares the crap out of me more at the moment because they've started to become more aggressive. I don't know if you want to agree with.
I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but I do feel like I feel like it's not. The problems are on all sides. If you're looking at India particularly, right, we do have a wokish culture in some ways, which is problematic. But at the same time, you're saying shit like Tista Setalvad, Zubair, all this stuff. This is nuts too, right? So I mean, like, where is the?
I don't know. No one's giving a pass to the right.
Yeah.
I'm saying we expect this from the right. They've not grown. This is exactly what they do.
So the left is
has become
When you
bigger and they're
expect
very
it from
famous.
the right, then they keep pushing
No,
that envelope.
No, but
right?
see, the left is so
You
again,
can write
to
the script for them. What's different? It's the
to
same
Abbas-
thing. Singing
to
the
Ab-
same song.
To Abbas's point, right? While the left is in some ways, they're anti-freedom of speech and there are issues there without a doubt. The right's the one that's putting people in jail.
Yeah.
The right's the one that's bulldozing people's house without
they're in power.
any
That's
kind of
what
due
I'm saying.
process. So I
We
mean,
can change that.
well, I think it will change, because
I
I do
hope so.
really do think this is the last gasp. I feel like this is their last kind of
Solzhenitsyn.
flailing in terms of.
Think of the Russian writers in the Soviet Union behind the Iron Curtain. Just figure out a way to reach people and sort of fool the government at the same time. Just think of it as a test. There's no other way to think of it. We've got to be positive about these things. And you do it because I'm bored and old. And I'd rather scratch myself and watch the cricket, which is starting today. You should mention it. We
What
have
is
a fifth
starting?
test
I know
match.
there are questions
The
about it in the
leftover
comments.
test match is on today. India win the
the
series.
one that
we're 2-1 up.
the one we abandoned because we wanted to start the IPL.
Yes, I did.
I remember that
Yes.
one.
Yes.
I
No,
do
because the
remember.
3 players had COVID and they didn't want to risk the COVID and the IPL.
Right.
IPL being bigger than anything else. When we were going to beat England in England, first time after 2006 and only third time or fourth time in our history. But that aside, Jasprit Bumrah, Rohit Sharma and Silvery got COVID from the same source. And both are valuable
What
to
was
the
the
nation.
source?
Probably the bus. Sharma is notoriously confused, so he makes his driver take the Prado and drive behind, and he
Right.
jumps into the bus. So he's not there. So basically, Jasprit Bumrah is going to captain for the first time. That's very interesting. So we've got two freaks, Ben Stokes. These are real freak cricketers. Nobody can explain them. They're superstar talents, etc. Going up against each other.
Do you watch cricket,
versus-
Anish?
Yeah, Aneesh, are you a cricket guy?
Not that much anymore.
So-
but
Sorry,
used to.
Cyrus.
Okay, now I was
You
just
would have
trying to
spoken
see
by
if
now,
there
Amit.
was something there.
If he was a cricket lover, he would have spoken. Like an NBA lover would have spoken when you start talking. No? They won't hold
Kevin
back.
Durant asked for a trade today in the morning.
What are you saying?
He asked for a trade because all that Kyrie bullshit went down and they didn't want to give him an extension. So Kyrie opted into his 1 year and Kevin Durant asked for a trade. So
All I know about Kevin Durant is that he's got a lousy muscularity.
He's
On one of these bodybuilding forums, they were looking at these NBA stars and saying, this guy has got he's a horrible physique for basketball and yet so talented.
he does not have a horrible physique. He has a great physique for basketball. He's not built like this, but he's the
See the
best
reaction,
active
Anish?
player. He is
That's
the
what happens
best
when you like the
active player.
sport.
No, Kevin Durant's the best active player. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He is the best active player in the NBA.
Amit, have you seen the new Adam Sandler movie?
Yes, I did. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that was good.
Hey, watch me do a plug now. I plugged. I recommended it when I was on Think Fast this week when Varun was out of town.
Amit, the last 5 NBA finals, Harvesh was your man. MVPs are the last 5 All-Star game MVPs. So in both cases, the same guys. 5 NBA finals, 5 All-Star game MVPs.
Did Kawhi?
He's done his research. He's a Parsi. He won't get it wrong.
Cool. I'm sure.
He won't get it wrong.
Could be right.
Be careful, Amit. Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me.
Let's go to the AMA, Cyrus. We have 10 more minutes. The first one comes from Aditya. He says, guys, have you seen the recent ridiculous mandates for making mutual fund investments? Everything is made harder for no reason at all.
How
are you going to lower people if you... No,
do you have any idea about this?
Coming up. The thing is that I don't understand how when mutual funds are dying anyway and people are not willing to invest, etc., you don't sort of, but I guess they've got their own reasons because whatever, you've got to figure out a way to lure people, the customer, to invest in mutual funds at a time like this. But we need someone else to answer the question as to why.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
I haven't noticed anything. I just bought some mutual fund like a couple of weeks ago, but the same app that I used, it just worked.
No, but it's all about taxation, Baba. They're increasing the taxation that you're liable to pay. So tax liability goes up. That's the whole thing.
They're talking about taxation here. I thought you said the issue was with regulations around it. But okay, all right.
As far as I know, the problem is the taxation increasing. What did you bring the IVM team from Spain as?
Shavik asked, what has you bought for us from Spain?
As sovereigns, as kings.
Sovereigns.
Okay, so I found a nice powder which is very good for cracked skin. So if you guys are interested and anybody has cracks in their skin, no cracks about where the crack is, please, for God's sake, I'm willing to share it with you. But I don't buy things. I'm not a buyer. Aisha's bought some chocolates. If anybody's not diabetic, please put your hand up. I'll bring them on Tuesday when I come.
Okay.
In first impressions.
Anirban has a question.
Which
I'm a little confused about, but he says, you think the BBC or Channel 4 would notice if you make this show a bootleg QI? I read comments and see what sticks format has kind of run its course. The read comments and see what sticks format has kind of run its course.
Okay.
I think that's
What's
a
a
slap.
bootleg QI?
So QI is a show
QI
with a
is
clear...
the Stephen Fry show, no?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like a talk show involving
I think
so
Anirban,
gender
first, thank you for your
stuff, yeah.
feedback, and I think BBC would notice if we did turn this into a bootleg QI, and also I respect intellectual property too much to do that because we do IPs too, and thanks for your feedback, man. Good to know that you are not enjoying the show so much anymore.
What's the new IP you've launched recently, Amit?
we won't cancel
there's
it.
a show
We're
called
not far left.
Aneesh thing.
There you go.
I think it's a well done show. We have an interesting host on it.
Why did we turn up, Abbas? I know.
Shavik says, Amit, how did the content event go?
It was really interesting. I heard a bunch of OTT creators talk about it. There was a great audio panel hosted by our friend Aditya Kuber from Idea Brew. It was a really interesting panel, a lot of information, and I would strongly suggest going for it next year.
Okay, just want to clarify, Anirban, that QI, we've done our research, quite interesting quiz show where you don't get correct answers, or that's not really a goal. You can answer in any way you want to. So they've copied us because we've been doing this from the beginning, Abbas, if you notice. We start at one point and goes anywhere. So, this masturbation format is our thing. We've been talking about it until Aneesh comes with his straitjacket approach to life and talks about all interesting and fashionable things and make us look stupid on a show called the
Aneesh thing. There we go.
Okay.
There was a question by Hamisha, I can't find it right now, which asked if you can find it.
She's quit and gone to his show.
No, she's asking us the most nightmarish airline experiences she's asked you, except for the one which you ranted about yesterday.
I want to chime in on this.
Yes, please.
Go for it.
What is the question? I didn't hear you. Nightmarish what?
Worst airline experiences.
Oh, God, I've had so many, I can't tell you. Firstly, I don't understand one thing. There was a kid crying and screaming for those 2 hours. One of those 3-year-old kids where you question your humanity because you start thinking of violent things to do with children, and that's not right.
I just have a correction. Right. The question is from Harvesh, and The question is about the most
fair enough.
nightmarish
But they start with an
experience.
age, different gender, different communities, different states, and different people. Not important. Don't polarize us.
But Aneesh, you were saying.
I have a story on this. I've boarded the same flight 3 times. New York, Bombay, United Airlines. We boarded. We took off. I paid $20 for that Wi-Fi, and and then the pilot comes on and says, "Hey, sorry for the inconvenience, but we have some engine failure, and we'll be making a emergency landing back." Like, okay. Then we are circling the airport because we have to dump fuel. We're too heavy to land. Then we land back in New York. There are fire trucks chasing us. Luckily, nothing happens. We get out.
Switch planes.
Switch planes. Now, they didn't tell us that switching planes will happen 24 hours later. So 24 hours later, we have 2 aircrafts now going back to Bombay. One is the flight for that day and one is another flight arranged for us. We finally board the flight. It's been about 4 hours. Nothing's happened. We're still on the tarmac. And then the pilot comes on and says, "Listen, I'm really embarrassed, but the food has not shown up for you guys. So we're still just waiting for the food." It's been a while. Then I think 5 hours go by. We are still on the flight. We're still on the tarmac. Then he comes on board saying, "I'm really sorry again, but now this crew will be illegal to fly for these many hours. Now we're gonna swap the crew. But don't worry, the crew is here very soon." To the point they asked us to get out of the aircraft again because the crew was taking longer. Some 8 hours later, the new crew has shown up. So we boarded this flight 3 times. We land in Bombay and they're like, "We're really sorry, but the doors are not opening." And then we waited for another 2 hours for the damn doors to open. Yep.
That's not good.
That's United Airlines.
It's just one of those stories where you think to yourself, this can't possibly get worse, and then it gets worse. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a racist thing, but I have a problem with the whole patronizing attitude. You charge a lot of money, whether it's economy or business class, and during the pandemic and beyond, it's just ridiculous, the inflated pricing. And then when you come on, they have this way of talking to you. "Sir, can you kindly put the seatbelt on?" And then they come and show you what you've done wrong. One angle is not correct, or one little bar has not come up 2 inches. And I'm like, really, if the plane's going to crash, what is all this shit ornamental crap that you keep doing and making a big deal out of? And the way they talk to you, it's slightly, they're not rude ever, but it's just slightly condescending. Like, moronic G person. It's like that. But, it just gets to me, and especially when they start failing. When you're 2.5 hours in the plane, then the whole thing changes because now you no longer want to be nice to them. You start getting irritated because the pilot is bullshitting. He just comes on and makes up stories. He's clearly making up stories. First he tells us the Mumbai airport is closed. Now, I should have known this. I was thinking, is it closed? If it's closed for so many hours, you would have known this and you would have planned it. It can't suddenly close because they do it for a period of time. Then the second thing is there's engineering issue which we hope we can sort out. That gives him time because the hope is, everything's in the air now after that. And then the third thing is about these guys trying to get onto the plane. So what's the real story? The moment there are many excuses, it looks like a lie, does it not? Yeah. Just look in your own lies when you talk to people. But they start giving you 7 lies. Silvery, oh, the bus ran late. Oh, my hair is not drying.
Why? What is this segue?
No, I'm just saying, we've exposed Silvery on the show too many times because he doesn't give us one story. He gives us 13. But he's not as dangerous as an airline. But I'm just saying, I keep thinking I'm a conjuice at heart. I'm thinking, I paid 4 tickets for this plane. And I can't get a straight answer. And the kid is screaming and you're not stopping the kid, but you're pushing my one. There was a little panel which goes up 3 inches or where your left elbow can rest. And she wanted me to push it down before takeoff, which was not happening. I said, "But when are we taking off? I'll tell you the moment." So I said, "But we're not taking off. We didn't take off for 2.5 hours and the panel remained down."
Can I mention, I mentioned this on yesterday's episode as well. There's an author called TJ Newman. She's been a flight attendant for 10 years and now she writes thrillers. Her first book is about hijacking. It's about a hijacking, and she's used her experience as a flight attendant to sort of write that. But her interview on Fresh Air, NPR's Fresh Air, is very fascinating because she actually talks about the whole thought process that flight attendants have in what goes into their day-to-day sort of life. Is very interesting. So I would definitely check. I would definitely recommend for guys.
Let me just quickly add before you, because I don't want to.
Along with Aneesh podcast. Anish Singh.
And Anish will appreciate Travel's first class, will appreciate this. There are very nice ones as well who treat you very nicely and they speak very nicely. There was a guy called Brendan who was really nice on our leg going forward.
But it's stuff like you. I mean, their job covers everything from making sure your tea is the exact temperature to knowing how to give CPR when you're out of breath.
But I'm an Indian. Once I pay over a certain amount, I need to be treated like a king because I paid too much. Because in our culture, once
She
you pay a
does
certain
talk
amount,
about,
I should be allowed to pee anywhere in the plane. And be like, yeah, sir, yahi pay kar lo. It should be like that because you paid enough. Initially, they should allow you.
Right.
Anish, what say you?
I was
This is racism.
I was actually going to say Air India service is pretty good.
I've had good experiences
Very good.
too.
Their personnel work is very good. The problem is the timings and the state of the machinery.
So timing wise, my last I was flying to London, and 2 days before I'm getting a call from their call center. So I cut the call a few times, thinking they're asking me to do the web check-in. Finally took the call, and she's like, "Sir, you're flying to London in 2 days." I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "We called to tell you the flight is now not going to London; it's going to Birmingham." And I was like, "I've never gotten that
4
call
hours,
from
my God.
anyone." Like, how do you change the destination, right? And I was like, "So how do I get to Birmingham?" And she's like, "That's up to you." So I was like, "Dude, like, am I getting pranked here?" So I was like, "What's the answer here? I have to go to London, not Birmingham." So she's like, "Either you can fly tonight, which is 1 day before, or you fly 1 day later." So I chose 1 day later. I get to the airport, and I'm anyways irritated because I'm losing 1 day of something I'd planned in London. And I get my boarding pass, and before he can even hand it over properly to me, I can see that the number on the thing is not what I'd paid for that one window seat or something in economy additionally, and I can see that's not the number. So I was like, "Dude, this is not even my seat." And they're like, "Sir, you've been upgraded." And I've never been upgraded in my life. So I was like, "This is great." Brand new aircraft, whatever. You enter business class, looks like it's from the 80s. But the service is so good. You ask for one drink, they'll give you 3. They're like, "Take it,
And
do
they're
not
always
bother us
polite,
again." Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, "Drink as much as you want, just don't keep calling us." They're great at that service.
No, I've had
I continue.
similar experiences.
Sorry, you go on.
I've had similar experiences with Air India, right? I normally go to DC, right? That's where my brother lives. Now, Bombay to DC, there's no direct flight. It's a Bombay-Delhi DC flight, right? And so not last time, but 1 or 2 times before that when I had gone, what wound up happening is that went to the airport, checked in at the Bombay flight. They put me on the earlier Delhi flight. Because they're like, "Why you want to sit at the airport? We'll send you to Delhi. Go sit over there. It's easier, it's faster." I was like, "Yeah, okay, that's good. Why should I sit in Bombay airport for 3 hours? I'll go to Delhi." It was a tight connection anyway. It was like an hour and a half connection on Delhi. This was so. I mean, like, I was really happy with them, and I like the flight to the Air India direct to the US. I've done from Newark to Bombay, and I've done from Delhi to Washington, and they've been great flights.
I have a video on YouTube about my Air India Hong Kong Delhi experience, which has over 1 million views.
Wow.
If you search Anish Bhasin Air India on YouTube, you'll definitely find that. That's a must watch.
Everybody but Air India has watched it. Is basically what you're trying to say. but I've mentioned this before. I remember one simple things. The lady comes, very maternal, sweet lady or stewardess, and says, "Sir, will you have veg or non-veg?" I say non-veg, and she looks at me with that face and says, "There's no non-veg." So why did you ask me then?
While you're
This is
saying this,
ridiculous.
Cyrus, Shovik has put the exact same thing in the comments.
Oh, yeah, right. I couldn't believe it was like a great piece of stand-up, and she was so sweetly telling me, "But we have to ask now, sir."
They're doing customer
That was the
service.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, with that,
anyway.
we've come to the end of the show. Anish, once more, your show is called Anish Singh. And
Yes.
Anish Singh.
where can one find it?
On IVM podcast.
Yes.
And
Also, wherever you
And the
want to
producer,
listen.
producer's name is
Saurabh
Producer's
Sharma.
name is
Sharma. And we're also on YouTube. So in case you'd like to
Yeah.
see our beautiful faces, the show is also on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Ghana, Sawan, everywhere.
Apple
Go listen
Podcasts,
to it wherever
everything.
you want to listen to it. Just listen to it.
Abbas. For me, I feel like, when your girlfriend finds another guy she likes, Amit has become that. He's a,
Hey, dude,
you know,
this is
no
not-
interest in now, but he's so pumped up about Anish's presence
This
here.
is
He's
not-
on this, he's on that. This is a show, and you and me, and of course that erstwhile producer who never turns up, the other guy.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like to give your social media handles, Anish?
My social media handles on all platforms is Anish B, ANEESH, B for Bombay.
Oh, you didn't spell it like Anish, Anicha.
That's Anish. Oh, no.
it's not
My
like
parents
Anish.
are not that.
Okay.
My parents
Not
like
yet.
me.
Not yet. Once he flips the company is worth 1,500 crores, everything will change. Then be worried about everything. ANNNNI all changes with success. All right.
And
chalo.
Cyrus,
Okay, guys.
your Cyrus Brocha on all platforms.
I have no clue. All I know is that I had a horrible experience in the morning. The stupid guy taking so long to let us through. I mean, just ridiculous.
Okay.
4 lanes went ahead of us. Okay.
I'm
don't
going to
start.
let you go.
Bye.
now.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you, we need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In, or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.